Hey, what's up YouTube? Team Spirit of Adventure. It's super hot out here in the western US, some of the worst heat temperatures ever. And I'm out here in Bertha, and it is very hot to keep these vans cool in the summer. Here's my top 5 ways I've learned to keep Bertha cool. Let's check it out. Okay, so my first way that I've learned to keep the van cool is actually using this awning. Now, a lot of folks that get these Vanlife vans, live in them full-time or even part-time, they oftentimes build them without the awning, and even these professionally built ones, you can order them from the factory without the awning, which a lot of people do. The reason for that is because a lot of people feel like if the awning's on there, people will know I sometimes use this as a camper van, or it'd be harder to stealth camp out of it. I actually haven't had any issues with it, and I have had a lot of use with the awning, especially here in the summer. If I'm conscientious or thoughtful around making sure I face the right side of the van to the south, or if it's early in the day or late in the evening, making sure I'm mindful of east-west orientation of the right side of this van, when I lower this awning out, as you can see, it totally covers the side of the van in shade. That means this entire right side of the van is getting no direct sun, it's not generating any heat inside of the van, my awning's eating all that heat up. And on a windy day like today, I can actually set it, forget it, be inside the van working, and it will retract itself if it gets too windy out here. For me, I love it. Alright, so the second best way I found to keep the van cool in the summer, either in direct sun, humidity, whatever it is actually my fantastic fan right here. So I do have a rooftop air, Pro Air, a DC rooftop AC that blows really cool air, but sometimes it's hard to keep the van cool or get it cool when it's already hot in here. So I found actually venting this fan, and my fan actually has a couple different modes I can use it in. I can actually vent this fan, just the top cover, just have it open without the fan being on at all, or I can have a manual speed adjustment on it all the way from 100% to 10% of its total speed, or have a thermostat on it where I can say I want it 75 degrees in here, and the fan I should say is going to speed up or slow down in order to keep it about 75 in here. What I've noticed, if I vent it and have it on about 10%, which it is right now, it gently takes out the hot air, while these vents pointing straight down like this, blowing cold air into the van, help push the hot air out as well. And I've noticed it's quicker to get cool in here, and it's easier to maintain a cool temperature if I'm in direct sun and I can't find any shade or anything like that, like I was in Carlsbad, New Mexico, where it was 106 degrees during the day. This has been a lifesaver with the rooftop AC. Okay, YouTube, so the third best way I found to help keep the van cool is actually a benefit of having this rear bath model that I have here. As many of you know from watching my other videos about Bertha, I have a rear bath model. This door, behind this door actually, I have my wet bath, my toilet, commode, my wardrobe, the whole deal back here, and I can close it off like that and isolate it. The benefit I found to having this rear bath, an added benefit I should say, is that the 2 doors back there on this cargo van build still have the big windows on it, and they let in a lot of heat, especially if the sun's directly on them. Now, that bathroom also has its own heat exhaust vent, so if I want to exhaust a lot of that heat, I can by sucking it out that top vent. Having this door closed keeps it all closed in back there and doesn't let the heat into the main part of the van. I've also noticed that since this is soft, sometimes when the AC is actually pushing very hard on this, a little bit of the cold air escapes over the top and gets into the bathroom. So it's not incredibly awful if you're going, bathroom back there, if you're combing your hair and you want to keep this closed. If you vent out the heat using the exhaust fan and you have the AC going kind of full blast and blasting air on here, a little bit does get into the back, and it does keep it reasonably cold while saving a majority of that cool air for up front here. Another benefit is that it helps keep this part of the van a lot cooler. The AC blowing on this door actually reflects down and blows all the AC onto this bed, which is where I've determined that I sleep now in the summers, because I sleep a little hot. So I like the AC bouncing off this wall and going right onto this bed. It also makes sure it keeps the front of the van very cool, because you have 2 vents from the rooftop AC blowing forward, these 2 vents blowing to this wall, bouncing off and recirculating all back to the front of the van. So overall, even as thin as this is, it really does help keep the rest of the van very cool if I have this closed. Okay, so the fourth way I found to really keep the van cool, or to help it stay cool, is actually kind of the counter opposite to what I was doing in the back of my van with my rear bath, keeping that door closed and not cooling or heating that bathroom area, which I don't use all that much when I'm boondocking. And that is running the front of the AC and keeping the front of the van open so I can take advantage of the Ford Transit's regular AC for the van. I've noticed that when I go to some places like San Marcos, Texas, it was super hot, super humid. When I got to my boondocking areas, inside the van, sometimes if I'd go out, let's say take a walk, go eat, it would get so stifling hot in the van that the rooftop AC would really struggle to get it to a reasonable temperature and then maintain it. Blasting the AC for 10 or 15 minutes in the front with the rooftop AC actually helped out. 10 minutes, the van was really icy cold, and the rooftop AC had no trouble maintaining that reasonable coolness inside the van. The thing is, most people, or at least a lot of people I should say, that get a lot of these vans don't like messing with these front blinders that I have. And the ones that I have are actually pretty heavy duty and well insulated. The downside to that, it's really hard to make the front one and the windshield stay up. The ones on the passenger and driver door have magnets. It helps them, but a lot of people aren't using that. So what they like to do is installing a curtain rod or a shower rod here and hanging a very heavy draped fabric to block all the heat that gets generated by these windows. Downside to doing that is you can't use these AC vents. So my best solution for that is to make sure you get really great insulated covers or shades. Use those shades. Give yourself the option to use the front AC to help cool down the van initially, especially if you can find some way to insulate the other windows in the back that let in a lot of the heat like I do. Actually, a huge downside to using this front AC whenever you have a Transit, and I had to learn this the hard way. Had my dogs. I was in Texas, New Mexico, couldn't remember. I idled the van middle of the day, 2 to 3 hours. I'm not gonna lie, it was really hot. I was struggling to keep this thing cool. I was in direct sun, could not find any shade. Rooftop AC's going, generators going, helping keeping everything charged, running top speed. Had the front AC going, blasting. I was working right here, turned around. Had some blankets down for my dogs to kind of chill out so they could have some room, the beds, or lay down here. I noticed they did not want to step on the floor. I stepped on the floor with my bare feet. Noticed it was really warm. Pulled up the blankets, and where I have to put my table in, I have this anchor, metal anchor in the middle of the floor there. That thing was so hot I could not touch it with my foot for more than a second or two. And I've read that on the Ford Transit specifically, sometimes the exhaust, especially on the heavy duty ones, is really close to the floor, right behind the passenger seat. I think that's true because I experienced that with the van. The floor wasn't hot beyond this, it was just hot right here where I'm standing. So if you're going to have a Ford Transit, if you're going to idle and use the front AC, just remember, after an hour or two, check the floor. It may be really hot, especially if you have dogs, little kids running around in their bare feet. Okay, YouTube, so my fifth and final tip on how to keep your van, my van, cool in the summer is fans for your van. Not a play on words, actually for real. So on Amazon, I went out and I got these 10-inch square fans, and they articulate a couple different ways. They could pivot like this, tilt back and forth. They have these big clamps on the bottom where you can hook them onto a counter, an edge of a table, something like that. You can also use the clamp just to kind of have them rest. And there's actually a clip here in the bottom, which I find really helpful. I can hang them from the handles on my upper cabinets, have them like this. It's really good if I want to have it point towards the back or directly on the beds for people that are sleeping like myself who sleeps kind of hot. Actually a lifesaver. And the back of these fans actually have a USB-C port on the back where you can plug them in, run them forever like that. There's actually a 10,000 milliamp battery on here as well. So if power goes out, I don't want to use my power or anything like that, I can actually use this fan with this battery. It has a little night light on it, the whole deal like that. It has 3 or 4 speeds on the fan. I've actually not had that battery go below halfway, using it 2 or 3 days without charging it, all night using it in the van. So these actually been a lifesaver, especially when working up front in your van, which a lot of people do. I turn the seat backwards like this. I put a table right here. This is always really good for my workstation fan. Point it like this. Circulates that really cool AC that's in the back there from the rooftop AC. It circulates it up here. And even though I have these really thick window shades, I do get a little bit of residual heat through here. So being able to have the cool air blast up here and it helps circulate it back to the back to where the AC can cool it down again, it is a lifesaver inside this van. Even if the van is a little bit toasty in here, just having that circulating air for that evaporative effect with the fantastic fan sucking out a lot of the hotter air, it really does make a huge difference. Highly recommend it. If you want these specific fans for your van or your RV, let me know. I'll put a link in the description to exactly where I got it. Alright everyone, thanks for watching to my 5 tips on how I keep my van cool in the summer. If you like what you saw here and you thought it was helpful, let me know by giving me a like and subscribing to my channel. Also, leave me a comment, ask me some questions, letting me know what type of videos you'd like to see. Until next time, I'll catch you in the next video.